supportive communities. And that's something that Vivian's self-advocacy embodies, and one of the many reasons we are giving Viv this award. Viv's work has focused on both legislative advocacy and organizational leadership, as well as community building and outreach. And I'm going to talk about both of those a little bit now. So Vivian is an alum of our Autism Campus Inclusion Program and the director of Autistics United Canada, or AU Canada. Founded last year with other autistic activists, Autistics United Canada is a multi-chapter organization that aims to improve the lives of autistic people through self-advocacy. Recently, Autistics United Canada has campaigned on policies related to immigration, healthcare, and assisted suicide, as well as new national and provincial accessibility legislation. We are thrilled to see other countries working at the forefront of policy legislation. We are thrilled to see other organizations working at the forefront of policy legislation in their respective countries, ensuring that the conversation about autistic people centers and emphasizes autistic people ourselves. Vivian also focuses on community building through collective care groups by helping to run the Vancouver Queer Spoon Share, as well as supporting the Vancouver chapter of Autistics United Canada in creating an autistic community with annual events and a mobile neurodiversity library with STEAM toys. These ideas are revolutionary, and I'm so excited to see them grow and scale and reach more and more disabled people in real, concrete ways. Every community should have them, and Viv is showing us how. We're so happy to have Autistics United Canada as one of our affiliate organizations, and we look forward to seeing the work that they do under Vivian's leadership. We can't wait to see where Viv comes from here, both as director of Autistics United Canada and as an independent advocate. Viv, come on out. Julia's very tall. Okay. Big size it is. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Julia. I'm so honored to be a recipient of the Service to Self-Advocacy Movement Award. As some of you may know, AU Canada recently went through a name change, so just to clarify, we were Canadian Autistics United, and now we're Autistics United Canada. Why this change? It's to reflect that Indigenous autistics may not identify with the name Canadian. It was something that we built with feedback from Indigenous autistics in our communities. So a little bit more about AU Canada. We started off as an affiliate chapter of ASAN, and now we're our own thing. We wanted to build our own network of self-advocates across Canada, just like ASAN. And we're a humble organization, but we have large aspirations, and we're also just getting started. I'd like to finish off with some acknowledgements, well, a lot of acknowledgements to people who I wish were here with me today on the stage. My work is really not my own, it's all of ours. So with AU Canada, Sam, Baden, Garrett, Maggie, Vicky, I'd like to thank you for building something new with me. Ali, JP, Mia, Lydia, Charlie, Jam, Jigme, and others at the Vancouver chapter, as well as Elena, who first welcomed me. With the Vancouver Queer Spoon Share, creators Jen and Logan, and all the mods, and Jenny, Paz, Misha, Lindsay, Christine, and others in the group. It's over 700 of us. SFU Autistics United, my co-conspirators, Anna, Erica, Martha, Corbett, and Chantal, and local advocates, Amethyst, Emma, Leah, and H, who continue to inspire me. Thank you, I don't have much time, but I just want to say thank you all, and I'm so happy that we have this going on and that we can be part of this movement as well.
Hi everyone. I'm so thrilled to be presenting our next award for service to the self-advocacy movement to Elizabeth Barkoff, who has volunteered her time over the last couple years working with us on some really fantastic projects. And like Julia said, these were situations where Elizabeth came to us and said there's a need, it's going unaddressed. I know how to fill it and I want to work with you to do that, which is always amazing to hear. And then November 2016 happened and we got a bit busy. Elizabeth stuck with us through all of it, just with incredible grace and patience. And now here we are. One of Elizabeth's projects was just released. The other will launch in the coming months. We've been so lucky to work with Elizabeth, and we're so excited to finally be able to share the work with all of you. The first thing that Elizabeth headed up for us was our new anthology called Knowing Why. Elizabeth is the editor, recruited the participants, compiled their essays. This is an anthology that collects the stories of people who didn't find out they were autistic until adulthood. And this is a way more common experience than a lot of people realize, especially among autistic women and people of color who often go undiagnosed in childhood because of clinician biases. This anthology, Knowing Why, gives newly identified autistic adults a starting point that is informative and welcoming. The next thing Elizabeth worked on, I'm even more excited to tell you about. I will just say it's something that Elizabeth came up with, program coded, designed from beginning to end, just put in so much fantastic work on it. I'm going to let Elizabeth tell you more about what it is, but I will say, I have heard tell that there are people out there who do not mind making phone calls, right? Is this alleged? Okay, I see some hands. I have heard even that there are people who, and I find this hard to believe, enjoy making phone calls. Is that the case? I'm seeing some hands. Wow, okay, all right. So, your existence being confirmed. This new project Elizabeth is about to announce is a great opportunity for you to engage in really active and so important ally work to the autistic community and support the self-advocacy movement. So stay tuned to learn how to volunteer for this new project. Elizabeth, this is something that you drove from beginning to end. You saw the problem, you identified the solution, you created the system that makes the solution possible. Thank you so much for all your dedication, all your hard work, and the incredible gifts that you've given to the autistic community. Elizabeth, come on up.
I'm honored to be given this award. Thank you to ASAN for giving me the opportunity to edit the anthology, for taking me up on making a legislative advocacy tool, and for doing all the great work you do. I also do autism-related Twitter chats, though not with ASAN, so I'll reference those too. The anthology and the Twitter chats I do are part of an ongoing cultural explosion of collective autistic self-knowledge. That explosion of self-knowledge is a huge deal. It changes lives. It's changed mine, and I've seen it change others. It happens because so many people laid groundwork for it over so many decades, put effort into it, and keep putting effort into it. I'm grateful to have entered advocacy at a time when there are so many opportunities to contribute and so many people to collaborate with. I would like to especially mention the wonderful authors in the anthology, which I encourage everybody to read, and to the various people at ASAN who handled behind-the-scenes tasks for the anthology, and also the many people who've collaborated on and attended Twitter chats I've been involved with. And also thank you to people who make phone calls and like making phone calls. I don't understand you, but I am grateful to you. Since 2015, when I began organizing Twitter chats and started the anthology, we had the 2016 elections, which created many more urgent needs for political advocacy on many fronts. Advocacy often involves access barriers, especially for autistic people, but also a number of other disabled people. We can't shelve our autism or other disabilities. We can't put our accessibility needs on hold to do advocacy. What do? We keep taking that collective self-knowledge and turning it into ways to support each other and ways to make advocacy more accessible. This is where the legislative tool I developed for ASAN came from. When I talk with other autistic people, again and again, most of us say that phone calls are accessibility barriers. But our Congress members prioritize phone calls over emails and letters. All of us deserve to be heard by the people who represent us. The advocacy tool is for people who live in the US and can't call their political representatives due to disability, any disability impacting phone communication, not just autism. You go to a website and submit a script to be read to your Congress member on issues and positions in ASAN's Action Alerts, which you can sign up for at the website, at ASAN's website. Volunteers with ASAN then call the Congress member's office, explain that they're calling on behalf of someone with difficulty speaking, and read them the script. Stay tuned for the launch announcement. Thank you again for honoring me with this award and with your presence here tonight. Let's keep exploding with collective autistic self-knowledge.
Hello again. Our next awardee for Ally of the Year is Elena Hump. Elena has an origin story, and my accommodation, one second. I'm too tall. Elena has an origin story that I think a lot of us are familiar with, the story of someone who was living her life and then was confronted with peril and injustice that she couldn't unsee, with unfair things that threatened the lives of her loved ones. And Elena asked, well, what can I do? And then she looked up a year later and she had changed the world. I'll be the first to say that when I heard there was a new group in town consisting mainly of parents of kids with disabilities who called themselves the Little Lobbyists, I was nervous. They were clearly doing good, critical, life-saving work, but as a self-advocate, I was worried about the kids at the center of it all and the inevitable consequences of being a poster child. I stayed worried right up until I saw pictures of Elena and the other parents and their children visiting the adapters parked out in front of the Senate. And then I realized, oh, this is something new. Elena has done a lot of remarkable things in the past 2 years, and well before that, but I want to really highlight the way that she is changing the norms of parent-driven activism. Elena makes it a priority to listen to disabled adults and to work in active allyship. She understands that in order to build a world that will welcome and support her daughter, she has to live those values now with us. And in so doing, she's changing the world. Sometimes Elena changing the world looks like standing in the way of Congress and saying that her daughter's life matters more than their political agenda and winning. Sometimes Elena changes the world by telling gleeful stories about how excited Ziamara is to get a purple wheelchair, or a red wheelchair, I've been informed this is a new plan. And sometimes Elena changes the world by talking about the complexity of knowing when to share Ziamara's story and when not to, what details to disclose and what to keep private, because she knows that Ziamara can hear her and that one day she'll be able to find the old interviews. That Ziamara's story belongs first and foremost to Ziamara, and that one day, Ziamara will tell her own story, however she wants to, as you can hear. All of these things matter. All of these things are revolutionary. It is a sheer delight to get to work with someone who understands the world-changing importance of all three of those things. So it is my pleasure now to present Elena with ASAN's Ally of the Year Award. Elena and Ziamara, do you want to come out? Clearly I'm getting upstaged again.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Julia. I often describe myself as an accidental activist because I did not set out to empower and lead a community of family advocates and caregivers. I started speaking out because I'm a mom and I love my daughter Xiomara. That was it. So thank you so much to so many of you in this room and in this community who welcomed me. Many of you nervously at first, I know. Since the very beginning, I knew that I did not want to be that mom or that parent advocate. I didn't want Xiomara to be one saying years from now, gosh, I know my mom meant well, but she totally messed up in every way. So I knew that I had a lot to learn if I was going to do right by her. I am vividly aware that every word I say and every action I take will have the potential to affect my daughter's life for years to come. And it is this great responsibility and an even greater honor to be a part of something so much bigger than myself. I am grateful to so many in the disability community for helping me help Xiomara. It is my hope that this community is one that Xiomara will embrace with pride and call her own. I am honored and humbled to be here tonight, and I am doubly honored to follow in the footsteps of last year's Ally of the Year recipient, Alison Barkoff, who is here somewhere. Here. Hi. I kept running into Alison last summer at all the healthcare rallies and events here in DC, and every time I saw her, she was wearing a different t-shirt. She even showed me one day that she had 3 different shirts in her backpack at that exact moment. So it took me a while to figure out which group she was with. And as it turns out, Alison is with all the groups. And that is something that has stuck with me as I was figuring out my role as a public advocate. So thank you, Alison, for showing me and showing all of us how it is to be with all the groups. One of my favorite moments this year, in a year full of life-changing moments, was the opportunity to participate in the launch of the Disability Justice Initiative at the Center for American Progress. So, I see Rebecca. I will forever treasure being on that stage with Xiomara alongside an impressive panel of leaders talking about the wondrous possibilities if we see intersectional justice as a starting point rather than an end goal. So I am so here for that. There is not a single issue, whether it be healthcare, immigration, climate change, criminal justice, education, gun violence, employment, or voting, that does not impact the 1 in 5 Americans that live with a disability. So at the core of everything I do and believe is that we are only true advocates if we engage in inclusive advocacy. When I advocate for health care for those with complex medical needs and disabilities like my daughter, that includes immigrants with disabilities, LGBTQ people with disabilities, people of color with disabilities, people of all faiths with disabilities, those living in poverty with disabilities. And when I say disabilities, that includes disabilities whether it be mobility, sensory, mental health, intellectual, or developmental disabilities. It includes our friends with chronic health conditions and recovery from substance abuse and those living with trauma. As Liz Weintraub says, all means all. So in closing, I want to confess to you that I am experiencing a serious case of imposter syndrome standing before you right now. Nobody in this room knew who I was 2 years ago. It's okay, you can admit it. In some ways, I didn't know who I was 2 years ago. And so thus I received this award not for the work that I have done, but as recognition of my intentions and my commitment to you. Friends, I accept your challenge. I accept this award as a constant reminder to be the best ally and co-conspirator to you all. I will be there in good times and bad. I will stand before you and lead, making my voice as loud as I can. I will stand beside you in solidarity, uniting my voice with yours in chorus. I will stand behind you in support, following your lead, my voice echoing yours. Thank you so much for the privilege of being part of this community. Thank you.
Okay, she said, let's go.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I really loved that speech, and I really love Xiomara, just so that everyone knows. I think we all would agree on that. And now for our final award. I'm so proud to have the honor tonight of presenting this year's Harriet McBride. Oh, I'm Sam Crane, by the way. I'm the Director of Public Policy at the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. And I'm so proud to have the honor tonight of presenting this year's Harriet McBride Johnston Award for Nonfiction to DJ Savarese. DJ, an accomplished poet, essayist, and autistic self-advocate, is a writer and co-producer of the groundbreaking documentary Deej. This documentary follows DJ over the course of 6 years as he navigates high school and college as someone who uses alternative and augmentative communication, or AAC, and becomes the first alternatively communicating autistic student at the prestigious Oberlin College. Deej, which I encourage everyone to watch if you haven't already, is a critically important work illustrating the importance of inclusion, literacy-based education, and access to AAC for everyone. And while it's always important to see representation of people who use AAC in the media, what's so special about Deej as a documentary is DJ's role as author and co-producer. Unlike many other representations of alternatively communicating autistic people in the media, Deej truly centers DJ's own perspectives while also emphasizing the importance of community supports and interdependence. The film truly embodies the principle, nothing about us without us. And now I'd like to show you the trailer for Deej.
My senses always fall in love. They spin, swoon. They lose themselves in one another's arms. Your senses live alone like bachelors, like bitter, slanted rhymes whose marriage is a sham.
Most people still perceive of kids with autism as bad.
Until I learned to read and write, people thought I had no mind.
People just don't understand, I guess. Trust that they can learn.
Reading and writing are rarely taught to non-speaking autistics.
You plot to get my people free? Hope to help the other kids have meaningful lives.
So here's what a dorm room would look like.
I plan to go to college. I look hopefully forward to a golden life of full inclusion.
You currently have students who tend to communicate instead of speaking.
We do not.
Yes, do you look at me as we're equal?
Absolutely equal. Everybody has different things about them.
Yes, I fear losing you.
Wow, DJ.
Deej, we would never desert you. We would never leave you on your own.
Imagine for a minute that you are removed from your home for reasons no one bothers to tell you, because you can't speak, so they assume you can't hear or think or feel.
The prodigal son has returned, spitting image of a Lucky Strike whore, snarling, wistful me, who once thought anger was a kind of redemption.
We're gonna practice saying it. Got into what? Overwood. It's #1 short.
The world outside greets me either as a hopeful exception or as a real burden to society.
Look at me. Look at me.
How should I fold up fear and go to college individually?
You're just going to grow into it.
But only you can do it, Deej. Nobody can do it for you.
Being included is every kid's right. It shouldn't be a lottery.